Hey guys, welcome back to the channel here. Um, this is the last video in the series covering how to create lapping videos for YouTube or whatever. Um, in this particular video, we're going to take all the different sets of data that we've gathered from our GoPros, our audio recorders, our data loggers, and put it all together to create one video. Now, let's see here. The first thing we're going to do is pull in or open our video editor and essentially pull in our base layer. And what I mean by base layer is the video that's going to take up the entire screen. Now, if you only have one GoPro, that's going to be your base layer. Right? Whatever video you got from that, that's going to be your base layer. If you have multiple GoPros for multiple angles, then you're going to have to select which video is going to be your base layer. And so once you've done that, you want to go ahead and pull that into your video editor. And the next thing you want to do is make sure that you get um, whatever video clips are associated with that one recording session, right? So the GoPros, as most of you guys know, GoPros can break the videos up if they get too long. So just make sure that you're grabbing uh, all of them and the right ones, and then stitching them together inside of your video editor. So I've gone ahead and done that, and I think in this first kind of pass on the rendering of the video, all I want to do is do some color correction. Now, what I'm going to do is once I've done the color correction, I'm going to bring it into Race Render and add the overlays. I think Race Render might be able to do some color corrections. I'm not sure, but just this is the way I've done it, and this is my workflow. Feel free to modify and change the workflow to fit your needs. All right, so once I have the videos pulled in, I'm just gonna make some color adjustments here, and I think that's it. Oops, I was doing it to this video. So that's color corrected, this clip, and this clip is uncolor corrected, or it's not corrected. This is straight from the camera. So I can go ahead and adjust this one as well so you can see. Boom. Done. So now everything is color corrected. It might look a little bit better. This is all dependent on your taste and preferences and whatnot. And I'm not great at this, but go ahead and play around and figure out what works for you. Okay, so once that is done, you're going to export the video, 1080p or 4K or whatever you've recorded it in. And once it's done, you want to pull it into Race Render, which is what I've done here. So inside of Race Render, I've already preloaded my template, which is all of these gauges here. And obviously because I've created these videos more than once, I don't want to have to go through every single time and add the gauges and blah, 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 blah. You can create your own objects here and create a template that suits you. And then once you're done, you can export the layout as a template. That way you don't have to do it every single time. Okay. The next thing you want to do is import your files. So you're going to I've already done it. I've pulled in my video file here, and I've pulled in my data log. And this is actually the wrong video file. I want this one. Yes, sorry, that's a warning telling me that my files are on a network device because I store them on a server. Okay, and then you can't see my gauges now because it's too high up on the layering. Bring this back down. Boom. Alright, so I've got my data logs, I've got my video in, my overlays in, ready to go. No. Now you got to sync everything. So now you have to sync your data log to your video and make sure everything's nice and working together. So the way I do that is I'll pull up the side by side. And so I've got my video on one side and I've got my data log on the other side. And the things to pay attention to here are one, this kind of like chain link or this link. What this does is if it's connected, it's making sure that these two files are linked at that particular point on the timestamp. And if I unlink them, then I can independently adjust these. Okay. So the one of the first things I'm going to do is, oh, and for the data display, you can choose different ways of looking at your data. Um, track map, where you are on the map, engine RPM, G-force. I like the speed graph, and the reason why I like using the speed graph is because what I'm going to do is look for that moment where I stop just before I pull onto the track. Okay, so to make things a little quick, because these files are on a network storage device, sometimes it's a little slow. What I'm going to do is pull up my front view, and I'm going to look for the moment where I pull up to the flagger and stop just before he lets me out. Okay, so somewhere around 114 is where he's going to release me. I'm going to go in here, 114. That queues it up. It didn't move my data file at all because it's unlinked. And now I'm going to go into my data file, and I wish I could zoom into this for you, but this file's, I left the tablet running for a long time, so it's huge. But if you can see over here, there's some humps and my speed stops. So like I'm pulling into the pits or whatever, the hot pits, boom, boom, boom. I stop, I inch forward, and then I kind of take off here. Right, so I'm going to run this back until I see that dot bottom out. Ooh, right there. And just so you know, these little buttons allow me to move forward and backwards, and there's three of them because this is like a bigger jump, and this is a smaller jump, and this is an even smaller jump. But, okay, so I've got where it looks like I'm just about to take off in the data log onto the track, and I've got the video queued up to where it looks like I'm just about to be released. And now I'm going to relink the videos. So relink the videos, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to look for a point in time where I enter a corner, um, and I do some braking and I do some downshifting, just so I know that I can kind of look and see if my visual cues, audio cues are synced up with my throttle and brake inputs. I should take a second here and say that if you have more than one angle, you can pull another angle in to kind of use that either whatever's visually there or on the audio file there to help you also sync this data together. If you're using a remote to trigger the GoPros, essentially every single one of those files is going to start at the same point in time, and they should be very, very close to being fully synced. And so for me, one of the ways I'll do this is I'll also, or confirm my syncing is to also pull in my brake pedals, or I'm sorry, my pedal view. Um, but I'm just going to assume that you guys only have one angle. So let's see here. I kind of like going into turn two, because I do some good braking and getting on the gas, and it's easier to tell what's going on. Okay, let's go ahead. Oops. Ooh, it is not happy. I think I've got way too many things open and going on at the same time. Let's go ahead and close this. Alright, looks like we're just gonna do it from here. Okay, I can tell right away my data log is way ahead of what is visually happening. I was on the gas super early and then got on the brake, essentially coming out of the corner. So my data log is not in sync correctly. So what I'm going to do is pull this back up side by side. Going to unlink this. Make sure I'm on my data log. And what I want to do is pull my data log back, I think, right? So I'm going to go 2 clicks here. Link it back together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. and play it again and see what we get. Oh, I'm way off. Okay, so you guys saw that, right? It kind of all matched up, and then I'm looking at this track map, and I'm totally off. So again, we're gonna pull this back up and unlink it. Oops. I'm gonna just throw a couple of these clicks in here, relink it, and yeah. So the shift kind of sounds like it matched up, and I lift it. Okay, so I should be on the brakes, and that's not matching up. So go side by side. I think I did a bad job to start with, so now I'm playing hide and go seek with myself. Gotta hunt around a little bit. Alright, so my data log is still slightly behind because I know I'm going to be at full throttle slightly sooner than that. So again, unlink it, pull it in, do one click on that, relink it. Play it. Still slightly behind. That's a guess there. But I'm close. I'm close. All right, so that looks pretty good. I mean, you can kind of fine tune that a little bit and go over it with tooth comb, but you get the idea about how to sync it. If anyone knows a better way of syncing it, please let me know. But as far as I know, this is the way that is most that gets me there the quickest. And actually, this took a little bit longer than usual because I think I didn't do a good job of finding the point where I actually take off for GPS speed coming out of the hot pits. But you get the idea. So once that's done, just make sure you save everything and you create the video. I'm not going to save it. And then also make sure that you put an ending point on the video. My file is 4 hours long because I left the data logger recording while the car was running. And so I think it recorded a bunch of other bullshit information that is, if I leave it without truncating the rendering, the timestamp, it's going to render 4 hours. So usually, you your session's like 20 minutes or something like that. So you punch it in, or what you can do is go to the end of the session and hit the red flag, and then create the video, and it'll put the timestamp there for you. Uh, then obviously you select your output file formats. You can do 4K, 1080, whatever works best for you, or whatever file, whatever the format was of the video that you recorded, and then start the render. Now, once the render is done, if you only have a single view, you're done. That's it. You've got nothing else. But if you have multiple angles or if you have some additional audio, there's some more work to do. And so let's go ahead and start with audio. So I've got Audacity pulled up, and I've got the 3 different files from my Tascam, and I believe this one, this one's my mic that is on my helmet. This one is the Tascam stereo mics, and then this is the one in the trunk. Now, the only thing I'm really doing here is amplifying audio, or I guess de-amplifying audio if it's too loud. And what I'll do is I'll mute the tracks and listen to them. And if they're a little too quiet, I'll bump them up. So I'll highlight the track and click on Effect. Oops. Click on Effect and Amplify. And it's telling me right here that I can go an additional 3 decibels of amplification without clipping. And by clipping, it means it kind of like blows out the audio. If I want it to go more, if I'm okay with it clipping or blowing out the audio, I can click Allow Clipping and then go up. But I don't want that, or at least I think that's how that works. And oops. And click OK. And it'll run through the audio and essentially amp it up. And I'll go through this for every single one of my WAV files. And I'll go ahead and cancel that because there's no point in waiting 30 seconds for it. And I'll go through and I'll mute each track. I'll listen to each track. And once I feel that everything's good and I've got everything together, I'll save it and I will export the audio as a WAV file. And that's already been done here, so we can go ahead and get out of Audacity. Go ahead and close that. And the next thing I'm going to do is, now that I have kind of my base layer with my gauges and I have my other video angles and my audio, I need to put everything together. And so what I will do here is create a new project, project 2, and we're going to pull in some files here. So let's see. Okay, so now I have all the different bits of information pulled into my video recorder, or my video editing software. The first one is going to be my base layer with my gauges overlaid. The second one is going to be this right here. Let me bring it up. This is my helmet view, and what I can do is shrink this down, and I'll put it over here, which is where I always put it. And then I have my audio file. And let's see here. Now, because go ahead and disable this audio file. Because I'm using a trigger on the GoPro remote to turn on all the GoPros at the same time and enable recording at the same time, the video files should be very, very, very close to being completely synced, right? So I can go ahead and play this here and see how close we actually are. So it's pretty close. I think it's slightly off. And you can use audio and visual cues to make that better. Let's see here. Like if I move this and we play this video, that's off. Yeah, it took me too long to pull the wheel to the right. So I'm going to go back this direction. So it's pretty close, right? I think it could be either one of these directions here. But that's kind of the advantage of the remote, is that the videos are going to be pretty dang synced. Okay, so once I've synced my videos and I've decided that they are close or right on top of one another, I'm going to um, disable one of them, and I'm going to choose the one that has the best audio to it, something that I can kind of hear relatively clearly. And in a lot of my videos, although you guys don't see it, I kind of talk to myself. Still struggling with the brakes here. Okay, so at some point around a minute, I'm not a minute and 5 seconds. I don't know how far into this video I am. Let's see. Okay, around 30 seconds, I start talking about my brake pads. And if you can tell, my audio file is like super, super long, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is pull open my audio file outside of this, and I'm going to hunt around a little bit. Session of the day, and what do we do? We added 2 clicks of compression front and rear, and that's it. Didn't touch tire pressure, didn't do any of that, just kind of wanted to see what adding some compression would do to the car. The balance of the car feels good. So under trail braking, I get a little bit of rotation, get back on the gas, it's pretty neutral coming out, maybe a touch of oversteer. So I kept the differential between not sure what I'm doing wrong. I mean, maybe I'm dragging the brake, really grooving, and differential between the compressions for the front and the grooving. All right, so at 4 minutes and 53 seconds, I talk about grooving on the rotors. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to cue this to 4:53, add a marker, apply it, and what it'll do is it'll split the audio file. And I'm going to delete it because that's never going to make it into a video on YouTube, right? So I know that my audio file at 450, now at the front of my audio file, I talk about grooving. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my video, play it. Still struggling with the brakes here. First couple laps are okay, and then halfway through, maybe by lap 5, I start to see some problems. I don't know if I'm overheating the pads. The rotors are starting to groove. Boom. So somewhere around here, I start talking about grooving. So I drag my audio file over here. Listen to this video one more time. Flip it around. So I'm disabling my video. I'm going to listen to my audio again. Grooving. And, oh, I guess the rotors are overheating. I don't know. You'd think Thunderhill would be. Nope. So I think I'm a little early because that's not what I'm talking about in this video. Still struggling with the brakes here. Try to take off here. Only changes on the car. You know what? I think I'm super early in that audio file. I might be talking about the same thing more than once. So, okay, and then halfway through, maybe by lap 5, here we go. This is where we're at. Some problems. I don't know if I'm overheating the pads. The rotors are starting to groove. So 750. So what I'm going to do is bounce back here. Change where I cut my file. Am I in the right file? I am in the right file. Am I? No. I'm gonna go back one more. There we go. 750 was it? I think. Add that marker there. Cut it. Delete it. And where did I talk about the brakes again on my... Okay, so kind of close. Bring it together. And again, just going to make sure, confirm that I'm in the right spot. So I'm not listening to my audio file. I've got it disabled. I'm only looking at my visual or my GoPro. So I've got groove really bad, and then someone freaking takes off. And I'm going to go listen to that here. I don't know if I'm overheating the pads. The rotors are starting to groove really bad. Boom. So it's somewhere around there. And now I'm going to play both of them simultaneously. I'm not sure what's going on there. So I think this file is a little early. Slide it back a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on. Really bad. Ooh, I'm very close. Okay. Zoom in here. Really bad. Groove really bad. Groove really. Other way. Groove really bad. Perfect. So that's synced, right? Okay. All right. So visually, I've got my camera angles are synced. My audio is synced, right? And what I'm going to do is then just now go to where I want to start my video. And let's say I want to start it here and just start cutting. So I'm going to cut this. Boom. Not change my marker, or don't change the position of the video. Cut this. Boom. Go to my audio. Cut that. Boom. Okay. Delete all this. And the next thing I'm going to do is probably just drag it all to the front, because now I'm not playing with any of that stuff. Okay, so I'm almost done here. The last thing I have to do is do the color correction on my helmet cam. Now, I don't do this individually for any other camera except for my base layer, because now when I have multiple angles and I've got different layers inside of the video editor, for my final render, I can have it color correct this layer. And right now, you can see that it's kind of merged. My GoPros are that one file for the helmet cam is merged all into one. You can create the layers for the 2 different files or 3 different files if you have extended GoPro videos as well. So all I have to do is just click on it, do my last little bit of color correction. Oops, sorry, because I got them all selected. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Right? Oops, I think it's the contrast that's too high. I think this is a 2. All right, whatever suits you, floats your boat, and then do one little final check on the video. Braking left in that turn. Looks pretty good. Then I'm going to cut the video at the end, wherever that may be. Let's say I'm already pulling off the track here. All right, maybe I'll cut it here. So same thing. Why isn't my right click working? Cut that. What the hell's going on? There we go. Cut that here. Here. And here. Yep. Delete these. Okay, so we're 99% of the way there. The last thing we need to do is strip the audio from our two video files, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and split the audio. Split the audio. So this is what it sounds like right now. And I'm going to delete these audio files that I split from I split away from the video files, and now this is what it sounds like. And I'm specifically just using the audio from the Tascam, and that's it. We can, now that it's done, we can just export the project, and our video is complete. So that is the end of the series, guys. Hopefully it wasn't too lengthy or wordy or complicated. You know, one of the things I enjoy most about these videos is having you guys watch me, I guess, struggle through the challenge of syncing or installing a part or decoding a CAN bus. And I like that because I hate watching YouTube videos when someone says, do this, and then it's done. Because that's not real life. There's always some struggles with it. The problem is because I want to show you what's going on, these videos end up turning out kind of lengthy. So I do apologize, but hopefully you guys kind of understand why I'm filming all of it in one go. Because at the end, I feel that that is more informative to you guys. So again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to ask. And as always, we'll see you at the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.